Welcome to Sorry I'm a Bitch. I'm your host, Kaylee.
And I'm Winifred.
And today we're going to be talking about scary stories.
We are. I've got some scary stories that I'm going to read, and then we're going to discuss after
Beautiful.
I read them. Okay, here's my first one. I lived in an old apartment in 2002. The place was built in 1900, so it was just over 100 years old when I moved in. The living room and kitchen were fine, but the bathroom and bedroom were unnerving. I just always felt like I was being watched, especially in the bedroom if the closet door was open. Those unnerving feelings just became moderately uncomfortable as I settled in. I felt safe in the bedroom, but only if the door was locked. One night, I was dead asleep and there was a loud bang on the bedroom door. When I got up the courage to get out of bed, I checked the apartment and all of the windows were closed and locked from the inside. The door still had the chain secured. No one was in there. I mentioned the closet in the bedroom. I never liked going in there, and I never liked if the door was open. For some reason in my head, I would just hear gasping noises. For that reason, the closet door stayed closed. About a month or more after this, something woke me up, and it was pressure on me like being held down. It was pitch black in my room. I couldn't see anything, but I knew someone was standing over me. When I could finally turn on the table side lamp, no one was there. After then, I couldn't sleep in the dark. I had to sleep with the lamp on. That incident scared the life out of me. And after that, the unnerving feeling of being watched intensified. Friends would come over and comment about how uncomfortable they were in the bathroom, like they were being watched. It became so uncomfortable for me. When I had the chance to move to another unit, I jumped at it. I packed up and got out. After me, several people rented the apartment and they would move out within months. I became friendly with the building manager and I told him that the place felt haunted. He kind of laughed it off. Years after they were renovating the place, building manager was doing some painting in there. The building owner was there too. I went and checked out the apartment and it looked nicer. It didn't feel as creepy. I got to talking with the building owner, and through the course of conversation, he just throws out there that the former tenant committed suicide in the closet by hanging himself. He also mentioned the original designer of the building lived in that apartment and died in there. I wasn't mad when I heard it, but felt violated.
So ghosts.
Yeah,
I
ghosts.
thought it was going to wind up into the point where the building manager had like secret entrances and was actually the one laying on her.
Yeah, I'm just like gasping for air in the closet. Was actually masturbating.
Oh, crazier things have happened. Isn't it illegal to not disclose things like that with tenants or buyers?
Well, I think it's if you purchase, and
Mm.
I think it actually varies by state too. Some states, allegedly, some states it's only if someone has passed away because of something the house has killed them.
Oh, the house
Yeah.
killed them.
The house killed them. Yeah. Like my house was built in 1910. Somebody has had to have died here,
Multiple people.
but nobody
There
has.
has to
But
be.
yeah, but we didn't get any, notice about it.
Yeah.
So,
Do you feel spirits?
you know how my bed frame is up against a wall and
Yeah.
the wall is the hallway? I will wake up by hearing like a bang, bang, bang on the wall, and Zach never hears it. And then when Lydia was really little, she would start screaming in her crib and we'd run up and she'd be pointing at her closet.
No.
And she'd say, one time she said, he is in there. And then another time she said, there's a baby. There's a baby in there. The baby went in there. And I was like, so,
Ah!
yeah. So I was
What
like,
the
so you're
fuck?
going to come sleep with me tonight?
There's a
Yeah.
baby in there. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
And then another time, Zach and I were in the basement and we heard loud footsteps, work boot, a big man stepping in this room. And so I go to fly up because Lydia was sleeping. So I go to fly up the basement stairs and Zach's like, move, bitch. What the fuck are you going to do?
I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, Zach, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I'm like down the basement getting stuff. We've got like a bar down there. So I got like a bottle. I was like, I'm going to hit him over the head with this bottle and come upstairs. And there was nothing.
God.
There was nothing up here. Like we checked the whole house. I went in Lydia's room, nothing. Yeah, like, there's been a few, our friend Cass
Hmm.
always says that she can, like, feel energies, and she said that she feels it in Lydia's room, like, she's creeped out by Lydia's room.
I've never actually stepped foot in Lydia's room. Lydia,
You haven't?
your house definitely has something going on. It feels, isn't it interesting how you can feel
Yeah,
certain things when you walk into a space, and it's not necessarily bad or scary. It's just like there's some residual things happening here.
in our neighborhood, a lot of the history of the homes has been preserved. There's a book that we have about the neighborhood, and it tells you about who built the house and the history of your home. And we found
That's so
out,
cool.
isn't that amazing? Yes. And we found out that because our house is the second house that was built on our street.
Cool.
Funnily enough, the first one was built, is also a yellow house. It was built by this man who built it for his wife, and it was
Oh,
her dream home.
oh,
And they had two sons, and she was big shit in Indiana. Her dad was general, and she was a nurse. And
wow.
her and her girlfriends were on the way to Florida for a vacation and were killed in a car accident in Kentucky. And she was in a coma, and she died, I think 9 months later, 8, 9 months later. Yeah,
Whoa.
like right after they moved in. So she didn't get to spend, yeah, she spent most of the time in this home in a coma.
Whoa.
Yeah. And we're
That's so
convinced,
sad.
I know, but we're also convinced that she hates cats because our cats keep dying. Yeah. Our cats keep getting sick.
Are they good now though?
No. Well, they're better. I don't know.
They're they seem
I'm a,
lively.
I'm literally over it. Honestly, like I'm about to go drop them off in the country somewhere. No, I would never do that. I would
I
never
would.
do that. Her name is Marguerite. I would never do that, Marguerite.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marguerite. That this reminds me of the house that I lived in Brooklyn, Wisconsin, and it was made in the 1870s by this
Mm.
man named Thomas Alsop. And I found out all of this because the landlord, they had bought the house and it was falling apart. They redid it and it was beautiful. It was so stunning. But she had all this research that she had done, and I did a little bit more. And basically, him and his wife, whose name I forget, they had 7 kids in the
Ew.
house. Yeah, so many kids. 6 out of the 7 died in the house or around the house. Like 2 of the youngest kids died from illnesses. I mean, it was the 1800s, so they died of normal, the
Yeah.
flu, whatever. One kid died in a tractor accident because they were farmers. The dude, Thomas Alsop, was also like the mailman. He did a bunch of other governmental township stuff. So there's that. And then a few other kids just died, other
Yeah.
random causes.
Oh my
But the
god.
the kid who survived the longest was Mabel. And
Mabel.
and the way that Thomas died, he fell off the roof and broke his back and then was carried into the house. And I'm pretty sure he died in the house. And I have a theory that Mabel was like this brute of a woman, of a girl, like teenage girl, and she carried her father in. She never married. Like this was a prominent family in Wisconsin, and she never married. Dad died. Dad died on June 5th, 1915, which June 5th is my birthday.
Right.
Crazy. And when I lived there, I lived with my ex and his sister and 2 kids. It was like a 7 bedroom house. The 2 boys slept in the same rooms that the kids slept in. And one of the boys regularly, he'd say, "There's a guy who comes in here like often and just stands in the room." The kids' room was the creepiest area. That whole front foyer, you would walk through it and oh, this feels weird. I would just run through it if I had to walk through it ever. It was so unnerving. It was
Whoa.
definitely haunted.
Oh my god. That's insane. Okay. So I thought that we should do a story from Appalachia because Appalachia is like, do you say Appalachia or do you say it wrong like Appalachian?
I don't fucking know. I barely know how to say it. Appalachia. Appalachian.
Appalachia.
Appalachia. Appalachia.
Appalachia.
Appalachia. Don't pour gravy on my tits and call them biscuits.
I'm getting a real insight of what you
What I think of you?
what I think you think of me.
Okay, so I had put on like lip liner on my lip, and I looked too cartoonish. I was like, I cannot I don't want Kaylee to think that I'm making fun of her, but you have big lips.
I know. And Lydia has big lips.
I'm like, I watch back our videos and I'm like, my lips are like non-existent compared to yours, and I don't have like
You
small
don't.
lips.
You
No.
don't. I know. Mine just dwarf you.
Yeah, I bet Zach loves them.
Oh,
Uh,
geez. The Bell Witch is a Southern American folklore story about a family in Tennessee that was haunted by a mostly invisible entity from 1817 to 1821. The story is considered by some to be America's most haunted location. Okay, here are the details of the Bell Witch haunting. The Bell family. The story begins with John Bell, a farmer from North Carolina who moves his family to a 320-acre farm in Robertson County, Tennessee in 1804. They had many. The family lives peacefully for 13 years. In 1817, the family begins to experience strange events, including hearing strange noises such as thumps, creaking, groaning, scratching, rats gnawing, chains dragging, and stones dropping. They start seeing strange animals, experiencing physical attacks such as being pulled from bed and pinched and slapped, the entity speaking directly to them, hurling insults at John Bell and threatening to kill him. The entity takes credit for John Bell's sudden illness and death, apparently poisoning him with a mysterious black liquid. The notoriety of the haunting spreads throughout the countryside, and hundreds of people camp out on the Bell family's farm in hopes to witnessing the phenomenon. The entity is also known as Kate. Some say the entity was clairvoyant, could cross long distances with superhuman speed, and could be in more than one place at a time. The
whoa.
story of the Bell Witch is considered to be well documented, with many people reporting hearing voices of the Bell Witch or hearing scratches and knocks. Newspaper editor Martin V. Ingram published a book about the Bell Witch in 1894, which is considered to be the first full length record of the legend.
What the fuck?
What do you think? Do you believe it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, why
why
not?
not? Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe
Appalachia's
that shit.
scary. They have like skinwalkers and
Oh, chupacabras. Are those
I
there?
don't
Or,
I
the,
don't
are
think
those
I don't
more
think I believe.
southwest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. Okay, if you and granted you live in a house where you hear thumps, but if you
Right.
started to hear chains, and if you were like yoinked out of bed, would you stay? No.
I don't know.
If I got
Well,
yanked out of my bed by some
yeah.
supernatural force, you better believe I'm leaving that night.
But if I have 320 acres in the 1800s, which is probably like all of their money,
Yeah.
Speaking of land disputes, babes, do you want to know what I found out today?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that the Salem witch trials, it was basically just property disputes? Yes. Listen to this shit. Basically, if you wanted somebody's land, all you had to do was just accuse them of being a witch. So none of the people who were accused of being witches and confessed to being a witch were executed. Only the people who refused to confess were executed, because if you confess to being a witch, you're giving up your land. So to the person who accused you. Yes.
And it was so it was it because women didn't really own land back in the day. So it was like accusing someone's wife.
Okay, goes further. In the 17th century, when boundaries between Essex County towns were still poorly defined, long-standing disagreements about property ownership were sometimes the underlying cause for witchcraft accusations between neighbors. Yeah. Uh, Nowhere was this truer than in Topsfield. Bitter land disputes between the residents of Topsfield and Salem Village likely impacted the tragic deaths of Mary Easty, Rebecca Nurse, Sarah Wilds, and Elizabeth Howe, and the imprisonment of Sarah Cloyce. Another fun fact, it wasn't just women.
Oh.
Yes. So Giles Corey refused to confess and was crushed to death at the age of 81. While they were crushing him, they asked him to confess, and he responded with more weight. His kids, in turn, were able to keep the land. But his
Wow.
wife wasn't. And do you want to know why his wife wasn't able to keep the land?
Why?
Because Mr. Corey was a big old piece of shit and he was super vocal about the witch trials being like the best thing ever. And he accused his own wife of being a witch. Like, I think this guy just like wasn't getting it. I think he really did think these bitches
Yeah.
are witches. So his wife was imprisoned at this time for being a witch and he confessed at her trial that she was a witch. And then, so while she was being imprisoned, they were like, this is taking too long, whatever. And so they were like, Giles, you're a witch. And so he was crushed to death. But see, Giles was kind of an asshole. He's kind of a piece of shit. No one really liked him in
Sounds like he
town.
deserved it.
Yeah, kind of deserved it. But he also beat a man to death when he was younger, like a man who worked for him. So, you
Oh
know,
my God.
yeah. So, I mean, super cool that he was like more weight, but also kind of a dick.
Yeah. Well, also you're 81 and what was this, the
Yeah,
1700s?
exactly.
Like how he probably was a witch for living that long.
You know what? Yeah, but his kids got to keep the land, so
That's good.
I mean,
As
good for
long as
his
they
kids.
didn't inherit any other
Yeah,
generational bullshit.
they probably did.
They did. And here we are
Okay,
now.
exactly. Okay, so I thought this one was spooky. This is a true spooky story from Reddit. Okay,
Oh,
you ready?
love these.
Okay. For 2 years, I had a roommate who was on meds for psychosis. It was me, him, and another guy. He was fine, but a little weird. We always made sure to include him in stuff because we didn't want him to feel isolated and possibly worsen his mental state. He never blew up or anything like that, just a quiet and awkward guy. He was not a drinker. The three of us would go to the pub, but he never had more than one beer. This one day, though, he was a little different. He seemed really chipper, much happier than ever before. Not manic or anything, just positive and energetic. When I came home from work, he was chatting with the other roommate and was cracking jokes. We go out to the pub, and I get uneasy because he downs his first beer and asks for another, the very first time he has more than one. After he finished his second beer, I took the other roommate aside and we decided to just keep an eye on it. He was having a blast and we didn't want to ruin his fun. Eventually, we were all 8 pints in, which was irresponsible of us, but he surprisingly handled the alcohol fine. He hit on a few girls and got some interest in return. We had never even seen him talk to a girl before. When he came back, we just asked him, "Why are you so happy today?" He said he got some good news that his father had passed away. We put it together that he didn't have the best relationship with his dad. He went into all of the abuse he experienced growing up, how he'd watch his dad beat his mom and little sister, powerless to stop him, or how he'd get tied up. Power. Hold on. Sorry. Edit that. How he'd watch his dad beat his mom and little sister, powerless to stop him, or how he'd get tied up in the freezing garage for entire nights as punishment for tiny infractions. Just awful stuff. We did a cheers to this because it looked like he was starting to find meaning in life after his abuser was gone. 2 days later, our roommate was arrested. Turns out the day he was so happy, he drove 2 hours back to his hometown and bashed his dad's head in.
Whoa. I
the
have
worst
goosebumps. Oh.
the worst part, everyone came out to say that the abuse never happened, including his mom and sister, because he was apparently saying these things to the police. Yikes.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh. Good thing he didn't kill the roommates.
Yeah, I know. The roommates were probably like, shit.
Oof. Oh.
Well,
Did
if he
you?
was taking meds for psychosis, maybe he really thought.
Yeah, right? That's definitely one of those plead insanity kind of cases, I would
Oh, for
imagine.
sure. Yeah.
Do you have any more scary stories for us?
Well, I was going to just like briefly talk about my hometown because I do
Yeah.
think it's cursed.
Yes.
And the house I grew up next door to me, everyone who has lived there, something tragic has happened to them or something bad, tragic
Yikes.
or bad. Yeah. Okay. So the first guy that I know of that has lived in this home, he was imprisoned. That's the that's the bottom. Like that's like the lowest tier of it gets worse.
Okay.
The next people who live there, their grandson dies. Then the next people who live there, their son dies. Then the next people who live there, the dad holds the family hostage at knife point. My mom popped popcorn. We sat in the garage and we watched the SWAT team come and surround the house. The wife somehow got a knife or got the knife that he was holding or got another knife or something and it stabbed him. And then so he came out with his hands up, like under a helicopter light, with his hands up, and just like one side of him was just like bleeding.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's just the house next door.
S Okay, so what's up with the house?
I don't know. I feel like every time I drive by it now, it's like empty. It's a huge, big brick home. Like
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. Yeah, and I don't know what's going on now ever since I moved. And one of the students killed one of our teachers. Like went into her house and murdered her.
What is this hometown name again?
Monticello, Indiana.
Anyone else from Monticello,
Yes.
Indiana listening? Have any
I
stories you want to share?
I swear I talk to people from my hometown. I'm like, town's a little cursed, right? Like multiple drownings. We have two lakes go through the town, multiple drownings. But if you Google it, you're like, how many people have drowned on Lake Freeman or Lake Schaefer? And it's like, we don't know. I don't have that number for you. Sorry.
What?
Yeah. So when I was in school, I was in this health class. And out of the three desks, there's three desks here. I'm the
Mhm.
only surviving person from that cluster of desks.
What?
Yeah. So three passed away in car accidents, one of an overdose, and one killed himself. And I'm the last one.
Oh my God. I'm
And
like
then,
Googling now.
and then, oh, no, you Google it. Monticello, Indiana curse Reddit. Because I'm like, somebody has to talk about this. No one's talking about it. I talk to people from my hometown. I'm like, hey, I talked to other people and they said it's not normal for you to have every single year of your high school multiple funerals.
Yeah, you were just saying that to Kayla and me.
Yeah.
You're like, is this normal? I've
Yeah.
There was one girl who died from my graduating class
Yeah.
of heroin.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yikes.
A friend of
But
mine growing up killed his whole family. Yeah.
what the fuck is in the water over there?
I don't
Is
know.
Monticello built on like an
It has to be.
Indian
Our school
burial ground?
mascot was the Indians. And every year people try to get it changed and they're like, "No, we want to stay racist."
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm like, maybe if you change the mascot, horrible things will stop happening.
Oh, there's a lot of, oh, this is Monticello, Virginia, not Indiana.
Yeah, there's Monticello, Virginia. There's Monticello, Florida, which has hauntings.
Monticello, Minnesota.
Yeah, Monticello. Shout out Thomas Jefferson. Yeah,
Okay. That's fascinating that so much bad has happened in your hometown.
yeah.
Or is it
Yeah.
just like maybe the real haunting is,
The friends we made along the way.
well, the the capitalistic state of our world and our society, and maybe Monticello is just like the center of it.
I don't know. I don't know because my grandma said the same thing. My grandma said that when she was in high school, there were multiple deaths. My mom said when she was in high school, there were multiple deaths. My sister, my brother, every one of us, when we were in high school, multiple funerals went on. Oh yeah, no, I tried before this. I was like, I'm going to Google it because there has to be somebody talking about it. This is just too much. I have neighbors down the street that I was walking down the street and they had my high school shirt. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
are you guys from Monticello? And they were like, yeah. And we got to talking and I was like, okay, do you guys also think it's weird? Do you think Monticello is cursed? And he said, bad things happen everywhere. No, this is like a small town. Like Monticello proper. It's so if you Google population, it'll come up like White County. But Monticello proper is like less than 2,000 people. So Zach even said to the guy, Zach goes, I'm from a small town too. And like, we did not have the stuff y'all did.
I've never heard of murders happening in my hometown.
Yeah. Murders, drownings. I just saw my friend Lucy the other day and I was like, Monticello's cursed, right? And she's like, absolutely. The town, when I drive through it now, I feel like I get creeped out by it. Like when I drive through it now, I'm like, it just doesn't have, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just all
because
I
you
can think
shouldn't
about.
be there.
I shouldn't be there. I know because the town wants me.
Yeah,
It's claimed all of these people in my health class, except for me. It wants me.
you got out.
I'm going to say this on air. I keep having, and this has been since I can remember, reoccurring visions of me dying in a car accident. And really, what it is I rear end like a white truck or SUV or something. So if I die in a car accident, you heard it here first.
How old are you in these visions?
I don't see myself. I am myself.
Oh.
Yeah. But there's a white SUV involved. But also creepy because I have a white SUV. So I'm like, is it my white SUV? Anyways,
I feel like if you're having a vision, it's probably from a parallel universe. How long have you had them for?
forever, as long as I can remember.
Well, if it happens, then we're all going to be like, well, I guess she was a psychic.
Well, I do have psychic tendencies. Multiple friends of mine have passed away, and I knew the night before something bad was going to happen. Last year, told my husband, said, I think I'm in a car accident with somebody. And I keep feeling this. I'm getting into a car accident and somebody dies, but not me. But I keep getting this feeling. And my aunt had gotten into a car accident and her friend had died. And it was literally within days of this.
Kaylee.
Yeah. So Zach knows if I'm like, hey, I have a bad feeling. He like
Yeah.
listens to that. I wish he was down here so he could like tell you more things.
Because I don't believe you at all.
No, I just
I
can't
believe
think
you.
of any more. He has a list of things that I have
Whoa,
predicted.
dude. Oh, okay. So we need to start a TikTok where you're doing psychic readings for people.
Well, I can't do that. I don't really actually think I'm psychic.
I think if
There's
you
been
have,
things.
I think if you have the force, you have
Yeah.
to train it. You
Hmm.
know, like it's one of
Yeah.
those things that you need to lean into. Well, we have weird connections where
Yeah.
I'll be like, let's do an episode about guilt. And you'll be like, I was just talking about this.
No, you will text me and I will be in the middle of a conversation of exactly that with Zach or have just finished the conversation and you will message me.
Weird.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's happened multiple times.
Multiple.
Interesting.
Oh my God.
Are you a witch?
We soul sister? Are we?
Maybe. Wait. Am I a witch?
Which is so funny because I'm actually dressed as a witch and you're
Yes.
dressed like me.
And I'm
So
dressed
like
as you.
I'm in you, you're in me.
Yes.
We're in each other.
We're inside of each other right now.
You wish. Well, on that note, should we call it?
We will be back next week Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.